our subject this week is unclean spirits. And again, I already kind of touched on the fact that we talked about demons, which, right, these are the same things, or these words are synonymous. So
Mm-hmm.
why are we kind of touching it again? Well, the first part we kind of more talked about, their effects on popular culture, how they're presented, we did dabble a little bit into how they manipulate mankind. But we're going to get a little bit more personal on this one and kind of talk about it from an individual level. How they, because most of the truthers, they see this overarching plan, and often we can attribute that to men, right? Say, oh, men are coming up with these plans. Well, if we read scripture, we also know that there are principalities in high places, right? There are workers of darkness and sorcerers and all that jazz, and that being the case, we also can see that that this plan has seemingly a very long lifespan, as it is propagated through multiple generations of us. So, that's on the macro level, but on the micro level, it's all by these single choices, a series of choices that we all make as individuals on whether we listen to these unclean spirits or not, whether we allow them to have power within our lives in the various forms, and doing what we can do to, in obedience to the Father, to maintain that blessing, to maintain that hedge of protection over our lives and over our families' lives. So we're super excited to get into. We're gonna show some more scholarly stuff from Dr. Heiser. We're gonna read a little bit of scripture from the Book of Enoch, as well as we're gonna look into some popular culture. There's a recent movie, and we actually kind of talked about it, called Nefarious, and very simple movie. Not too many explosions and CGI and stuff like that. But I do think there was some kind of key important parts there that were mentioned in the dialogue that I think is a great explanation to go along. Is a great piece of medium to go along with what we're talking about tonight. So let's actually do this real quick. I'm going to start with this scripture real quick. And we're going to read this. We just mentioned the Book of Enoch. This is out of Book of Enoch. This is Enoch chapter 18, I believe. And, chapter 15. It says 18 there for whatever reason, but it's chapter 15. Okay, so we're going to read this real quick and kind of talk about it and then develop from there. So let me full screen this for everyone so that y'all can read it. Maybe make it a little bit bigger so those words are easier to see for y'all. Sweet. And it says, "And he answered and said to me, and I heard his voice, Fear not, Enoch, thou righteous man and scribe of righteousness. Approach hither and hear my voice. And go, say to the watchers of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have ye left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, and taken to yourselves wives, and done like the children of earth, and begotten giants as your sons? And though ye were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. And as the children of men have lusted after flesh and blood, as those also do who die and perish. Therefore have I given them wives also, that they might impregnate them and beget children by them, that thus nothing might be wanting to them on earth. But you were formerly spiritual, living the eternal life, and immortal for all generations of the world. And therefore I have not appointed wives for you. For as for the spiritual ones of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh shall be called evil spirits upon the earth, and on the earth shall be their dwelling. Evil spirits have proceeded from their bodies, because they are born from men, and the holy watchers is their beginning and primal origin. They shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called. As for the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling. But as for the spirits of earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling. And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on earth, and cause trouble. They take no food, but nevertheless hunger, and thirst, and cause offenses. And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from them. So that's a little bit of their origin, guys. Most of you probably have heard that before, but if you haven't, glad to share that with you. And what we can kind of see here is this is kind of pushing off of Genesis 6, where we see that in the days when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, beautiful daughters were born unto them. And the sons of God, seeing that the daughters of man were beautiful, took unto them wives, any of which we chose. And we see this language reflected in this chapter of Enoch. And so why that's so important is, at least for me, I don't know about y'all, and I'd love for y'all to chime in. For the longest time in my walk, as faulted as it and full of stumbles as it has been, I had always wondered where demons came from, and they made no logical sense to me. Now I knew that the Father always worked even evil things for his good, but I never could understand the conception or the idea that God created these evil spirits in themselves. Now, there are multiple denominations out there. There's multiple groups of people that say they can kind of figure that out without the Book of Enoch. But I disagree. I think the Book of Enoch, for me, clarified this topic so much, and it actually opened up my eyes, removed some scales, where I was able to see a little bit of what it was mentioning here at the bottom. And it says, "And the spirits of the giants afflict, oppress, destroy, attack, do battle, and work destruction on the earth, and cause trouble." And it says, "And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men, and against the women, because they have proceeded from us." So they're part us, but part not us, and they hate us because of what we are compared to what they are. And they afflict us and do battle and try to destroy us. And I very much have had those occurrences very literal in my life. So yeah, what are y'all's kind of thoughts about from what your kind of ideas were back then to where you are now when it comes to where demons came from?
You said the whole time in Christianity, it was a third of the angels fell. That's where demons came from. That's what we were taught.
Yeah, that's actually really true, even though that's like taking that out of context and out of
it is. Time, it's not
right.
It is not. Yeah, that's not true at all. He didn't
or dead relatives.
Huh?
Or dead relatives.
Or dead relatives. I never heard that though.
Yeah, disembodied spirits of people that lived lives that were incomplete and are left to finish their mission on the earth and completely void of real answers when I ask these questions at a young age, for sure.
Yeah, because you asked then, you're like, and that kind of gets into a different subject real quick, but like, does heaven and hell exist right now, right? In these conceptual ideas, like kind of how it's explained. So like, well, if they're dead people and they're bad people, why are they not going to heaven or hell? Like,
right.
So God has just left these undecided people to roam on earth. So even
kind of unfair.
So even the answers that they provided from that kind of view still left wanting.
Yeah, and it didn't answer the more like spiritual questions about how these things operated and why they gave people superhuman powers and why they chose the individuals they choose and why it requires the name of our Messiah, his authority to cast them out.
Oh yeah.
So many of these things are left unanswered with
Mm-hmm.
the mainstream theology.
Yeah. I guess I was pretty lucky of having a pastor that actually did deliverance. So he knew, you know, it wasn't these I don't, he was very aware. And so we did get that part of it. That you open doors.
Well, yeah,
So
and I think that's kind of where modern Christianity is personally right now, where they accept that there are these things called demons and that they're unclean spirits. But I think for new people coming in, definitely from, you know, the edges of society where these a lot of people are inflicted, right? You look at, you know, like certain groups, certain denominations over certain ones, right? Like there's an influx of higher of this type of behavior, at least openly, than in other ones. And you were bringing up a good point of like, who do they attack and how do they choose that? And what actually, so I feel like the church doesn't deny that their existence, kind of like the Catholic Church does, where they're pretty much like,
Yeah.
oh, this is just, you know, this is just a simile, this is just a metaphor for you to explain the inner self, the inner evil.
Right.
You know, they have all their mental gymnastics. But my issue with the modern Christianity is there's a lot to left to be desired, because I really feel like if you think they're just your other people's relatives that are bothering you, right? How you would interact with that is different than if you think that they're, you know, like I know the Mormon Church believes that when when the whole divide happened, there was a certain group of humans that said they wanted to go with the evil one's plans, and so those became the unclean spirits. So there's all these ideas and let's call them mythologies on how they come about. But I think Enoch right here just clearly explains it straight up. This is where they come from. This is how they're made. This is why they have issues, and this is what they're trying to do.
I tend to think that. Sorry, Frankie. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll go next.
I was just going to say sometimes the New Agers may have a better conception of what these things are than some Christians. I mean, they may not
It's
know
I can
that they're
second that.
misunderstood.
evil demons, but
I
they're
can
like,
second that.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, yeah, that they're these, very, strange entities that are sort of humanoid and a mixture of other things, and yeah, I think that the Christian church has done a disservice to preparing humanity for unclean spirits for sure. And New Agers might have a better conception of what they really are than Christians might. They may not understand the full picture of it, but I think they might grasp where these things come from a little better than some things we've been taught.
I want to segue after Frankie talks off of what you just said.
Yeah. So early in my Christian walk, Jesus showed me a vision of the unseen realm here on earth. How demons of all different sizes roam, coexisting with us here in this realm, but they're on an unseen level. And in the vision, he told me if we could see what was actually going on, it would probably drive us to madness. And in the vision, he showed me a demon attached to my ex-wife, one that was controlling my pastor of the church that I was going to, and there was an African missionary group that was living in the church at the time, and he had a vision of a monstrous demon living in the basement. When I told him my vision, he freaked out, and he was like, it correlates with my vision of what he had seen in the spirit. So, yeah, it is.
real.
We're in a time of a demonic rule, and all the sorcery, the drug use, all the things going on. It is the behind the scenes. These demonic spirits, I believe, are controlling everything. and the ayahuasca, the LSD, all of that was introduced to bring to have people more subjected to these demonic forces that are here in this realm.
Well,
Go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, totally.
Oh, no worries. Just waiting for everyone to.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, basically, what Kyle was talking about the New Age and how that is a massive issue with the Christian community, because I've been within essentially the New Age for about 3 years, and prior to that, I was never a Christian ever. Like, I just came to this recently, and one thing I've always kind of like thought about with Christians is that they're so ignorant to so much, especially the spiritual world. They're just not even aware of it. They go to church on Sunday, they listen to the pastor talk about things that are spiritual in nature, about a man literally rising from the dead, and then going up into the sky and all this, but yet they don't really talk about the demons or the spiritual world. They just kind of see that the world is physical and that's how reality functions. But no, there's the spiritual component where we literally are in a warfare. And the demons themselves, like within the New Age, they definitely have a different understanding of what demons are. They believe that demons essentially are their ancestors. They call themselves, the light beings from another cosmic star system, and that they channel these beings through acts of past life regression as well. But mostly it's have you ever heard of like the Law of One, which is like the raw material? It's literally the Bible for like the New Agers. It's actually raw, that like, and he says that he's the god from like this, like the Egyptian sun god, but he's like, he goes on this like tirade of like, no, I'm actually from Venus, I'm a social memory complex, I'm the combination of all of the beings on that planet that are in a collective consciousness talking through one being, and then that's channeled into this book that is then written down and then sold to everybody. And anybody who reads it, if you're not aware of the spiritual world, you are going to get hooked line and sinker into it. People don't understand how real and like legitimate the New Age actually is. Like, black magic works. Like, all of that shit, all that crap is real, like 100%.
Yeah, I think y'all brought up so many great points. I think within modern Christianity, we see a lot of things kind of creeping up, right? That whole things that are good are evil and those things that are evil are good. And, like, I've even seen Christian tarot reading cards, you know what I mean? Where they put this white wizard, this white magic kind of spin on it to be like, no, we that same force is ours from God to use for good. And how seductive it really is. And you were mentioning, the New Age, and they have literally 101, if not 1,001 different explanations onto what these beings are: machine elves, aliens, multi-dimensional, all different, from a different dimension, and.
Well, I just got to say that, like, sorry, just butt in for 1 second to deal with what you're saying. There is like a lot of like craziness and all these different concepts that are, like you have those circles of people that are smoking weed and just talking about vibrations and frequency and like Akashic records and stuff. But that being said, there is a system to all of it, and basically, like, the YouTube videos that you watch of like people like Corey Good, Charlie Ward, like all of these guys, people from Gaia Network and stuff like that, they're all talking about things that are literally this system of deception that has this insane amount of like forethought put into it, because it's not designed by people, it's designed by the demons, right? So they are super intelligent, and anybody like myself, like the reason why I got so hooked into it, I was looking through the logic of it. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna by discerning truth, I'm gonna look at these people here, those people there, these people there. They're all from different backgrounds, all reading different material from all these like podcasts and everything else, but they're saying the same things. So it's just insane. And then like the conclusion I got from that, it's like, oh well, they have to be sharing the truth, But then I'm like, oh wait, no, demons are real. They're extra intelligent. So if you don't know that, you're gonna be so screwed, bro. Like so screwed.
Yeah, actually,
and Frankie's right about it. Like they are everywhere. They're everywhere.
I actually have a friend, a coworker of mine, and his significant other was using rocks and crystals and stuff to talk to her, what she called her spirit guides. And, he's from a Christian, he's like, you're talking to unclean spirits, you're talking to demons. And from that side, it's spun so well that they're actually viewed as a beneficiary spirit. These are spirits that you want around, that can reveal knowledge, can reveal things to you, and they can. That's why what you're saying, Curtis, is so true, is because there's actual power there. Now, people go to a modern, church, right? They're not getting any of this type of information. So someone who has, let's say, that is more spiritually inclined than another person, they're going to throw away the church because they're not even talking about these experiences that I'm having. If I go in there saying these things, they're going to think I'm possessed. They're going to think I'm a demon, So there's the church does such a disservice by not talking about the subject. And they almost play it as like, well, if we don't say his name, then he's not real. It's like Voldemort.
Totally.
Voldemort.
What I hate the most about it is that they literally, like, I think a lot of Christians, like honestly the majority of Christians, they are just trying to be relieved of their pain. So they don't care where the answer comes from. If it works, then they're going to do it. Yeah. So that's the issue. And what they say is that, oh no, it's good because it works. It's like, that's not, like, there's a reason why the devil says that he is a deceiver. Like, he's not
it's an illusion. It's an illusion. It works for a short season. It's an illusion.
Exactly.
It doesn't look
Kurt,
like
Kurt, can I ask you a question? When you were in that New Age movement, were they using ayahuasca a lot? Because I've been watching some videos, and they have been talking about using ayahuasca. It's big in that community, right?
It's massively pushed to go down into Costa Rica, go to one of those retreats. Yeah, but they got the retreat set up, so it's like really cushy for the modern day. But then they got the shamans coming in and. What's that?
Speaking of short season,
I did DMT. I can tell you guys about that story about me seeing and talking to aliens or demons. I mean, but yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
So I just think it's interesting because, and I brought up this point so many times about the bait and switch from paganism to scientism, right? They have recrafted, they have rebranded their same stories, their same mythologies, but they have just course corrected just where it needs to be for the modern audience. And to fit the heliocentric model too. Exactly. And so it all goes into this pot, which is the micro. So we've been talking about the micro, and I think that's important. Okay, where they come from, what they are, but let's get down on the individual level for a little bit. So I'm gonna give a little personal recount of kind of some stuff that I've gone through that has affected me and things that I've noticed, and I'd love for y'all to share if you have any stories, similar stories. But so to go into it, many times in my life have I had spiritual experiences where it was supernatural. And I say that and I emphasize that because these aren't explainable through natural means. These were events and information and things that I saw that, aren't natural, that we can't go quantitatively, take them out and explain them, but I digress. So one of the things that I noticed in my life personally, and I really think to the Paul's words when he says, "For I find this law at work: when I want to do good, evil is right there with me." And because I do the things I hate to do, and the things I want to do, I don't do. And I really thought about that, because a lot of times we have these struggles, and we all have them, right? We all have our vices. We all have our stumbling blocks in life. And I always thought it was this interesting thing where when you set your mind to do a specific thing, and but then it seems that all these paths are then opened in front of you to not follow that thing. So I'll give you an example. You know, I want to quit. Excuse me, everyone. One sec. Oh, coughing. You'll set this thing like, I don't want to smoke anymore. And you'll have this full desire in your heart, whatever, you know, replace it with whatever your struggle has been. I don't want to do this thing anymore, or I do want to do this thing instead of this thing. And you find yourself at that point getting these suggestions like, but you could just do it now. You could just smoke one more, or you could just buy one more pack, right? You could just smoke one more pack, and then when that pack is done, you're done. Or, you know, like, yeah, you said you're going to quit, but you're not going to quit on the weekends when you're hanging out with your friends. And you start having these conversations as if with yourself, allowing you to make compromises to this hard line that you had set before yourself. And so I really did some introspective looking at that, and, you know, take the book of Enoch, and I started thinking all the times that those events occurred in my personal life where I didn't want to do something, and I set my mind not to do it, but then I got these suggestions to do them. And I realized that I was arguing with these suggestions. I would say, well, just one more pack. No, but if you get one more pack, then you're going to smoke them all. And then on your last cigarette, you're just going to say one more pack. No, I won't do that this time. I can handle it. And of course, you're right back in the trap. And so, I don't know. I
call that twirling.
Huh?
I call that twirling.
Yeah, and that could be burning tape in your own brain, rethinking stuff that you don't need to be rethinking. But
Exactly.
there is such a spiritual aspect to it where you may be doing all those correct things, having those conversations and winning those arguments and saying, I'm not going to do it. But then you go walk into your job or to the bus stop or whatever, and you run into someone you hadn't seen in forever, and they offer you it. And it's like, well, wait, where did this come from? And there is absolutely a spiritual element to it. And even when you do stop those things, the devil's in the background, you know, doing push-ups anyway, waiting for you to mess up, so you have that reason just to continue once you do it.
And I think
I think that's where discernment comes in. You really need to discern whether it's your flesh or it's a spirit that is trying to communicate with you and get you off track. Go ahead.
I think what you just brought up is such a good point, and that goes back to my original point of us looking at the micro level and understanding what you're dealing with. If you don't think there's anything as such as unclean spirits, if you haven't read the book of Enoch, is that chapter 15, right where it tells you that they're out to destroy you, to oppress you, to battle you, then you're not looking at it from an aspect, as Curtis brought up earlier, of a spiritual warfare. We are in spiritual warfare. Now, it's not this open war where it's visible. It's inside our hearts. It's inside our minds and others. And back to what Kyle was saying is, I think you brought up such a good point, because even when you get that struggle under control, when, like you said, you are winning those mental battles, you're telling that contradictory voice to no, go away. I already made up my mind. I don't want that offer. Then you have, that's why it's not just an inner thing. That's why it's not just a personal, even though it is on a micro level, it's an individual choice. Well, then they start going out and manipulating others, putting ideas into more susceptible minds to interact with you, to break that door down, to put a crack in the window, however they can get a foothold back into your lives. they will do these tactics. And like Kyle said, even when you get that on lock, he is still waiting at the door, biting at the bit for excuse me, everyone. He's biting at the bit for that opportunity where he can steal, kill, steal, or destroy some aspect of your life. Now,
I
wait,
think
real quick. I just want to share one certain. Okay, so when I was younger, I was going through a lot of stuff within my family, and my dad and his ex, and my stepmom, and their divorce and all their stuff. I was going, I was in high school, the emotions of girlfriends and hormone, and all that into that. There was this one time where I was sitting there and I was falling asleep. And I was just kind of thinking, really deeply thinking inside my mind. And I was so lost in thought, and this sounds so absurd, but I was so lost in thought that I didn't realize that I was singing. And I was singing this song, and it was just like, it was nonchalant, and it was just like very upbeat and happy. And as I was singing it, I was like thinking about the words that I was saying. And as I was saying them, it started to creep me out and scare me. And then the final kind of thought came into my head. So what I had been singing was like, I will give you the life you want, lots of money, anything you want. And it was like this repetitive song over and over and over. But when I realized what it was, the thought came into my head, all you have to do is just call on my name. And when I realized that, I realized there was something else in my head, something else in my conscious that wasn't me. Now, freeze frame, all these years later, I've read the book of Enoch. I have a very similar situation go on, but this time I know what I know now, and I realize what's going on. And I'll just say it plainly, guys, these unclean spirits they whisper. They can whisper into your ear, into your inner thoughts, using your inner voice, and bring confusion and confliction to the choices that you know that you should or should not make. To pass that barrier upon which you sat your own, to move you past that barrier that you set upon yourself for the sake of your morality, and are willing to go through it just because it sounds like you, just because you think you thought it. They deceive you. And those whispers, they're strong. They get a lot of people to do a lot of the things that are wrong. And I think it's just a very, very important subject to talk about.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
the positioning of my ex-wife's demon was on her neck. So it was actually whispering stuff in her ear to say against me. And that's what the Lord had showed me in that vision, amongst other things. So, yeah, you're absolutely right about the whispering.
I don't know if y'all caught the little picture I made, but as you see, there's like these black little shadowy objects, poking down into people's heads. And, it's just a representation to show that you're right, man. They're hovering over us. They're on us. They're whispering these thoughts, whispering these desires. And I just want to bring up the book of Enoch real quick again and kind of emphasize a part, because I think this goes perfectly along
while
with
you're
what
doing
we're
that,
talking about.
That's why sometimes when you go into a room, you feel
The vibe.
a presence. No, you feel a vibration of a demonic force in there, because there's been things going on in that space that are anti-God, you know what I mean, or anti-Christ, or demonic. Go ahead.
So just here at the end it says, they take no food, but nevertheless hunger and thirst and cause offenses. So this is, I think, is just giving an example, right, of something that's a necessity. They take no food, but they're endlessly hungry. They take no water, but they're endlessly thirsty. They have no body to do these lusts, right?
Right.
So where do they get their satisfaction if they hunger but they take no food but they hunger? Let's take this more to the kind of the R-rated side. If they're not having a body to fulfill the lusts of the flesh that they so did while on earth and so desire to still do, what better way to get other people to react to imitate those behaviors that
Doesn't
brought them so much
like
lust?
the incubus and succubus?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so we know these things afflict us, but yet we often within our society, definitely within the modern Christianity, often overlook these things as self issues, self things that isn't something a part of the equation when it very so much is. So I kind of shared a little bit about mine. Does anyone else have any kind of experiences they would like to share, on the micro individual level, and maybe how you overcame that or how you noticed that difference? Love to hear it. You were talking a little bit, Frankie, about your experiences with your wife.
Yeah, well, another part of that vision. All right, so we were arguing a whole lot. I asked the Lord why we were arguing so much. So, a girl that she had raised from a child or known from a child, she was a teenager now. She moved in with us, and in the vision, I was in the bedroom. I had fallen into a trance, and Yeshua appeared to me, and he pointed to this bag that was in our room. And I didn't know it was in the room. And out of the bag was coming all these little small nymph demons. And they were running through the house. And then he took me downstairs, showed me the outside, all different sized demons walking along the street. And then he took me to my church. He showed me they were in there. And then when I woke up, I seen the bag in the bedroom. So I was at a Assemblies of God church at the time, and he did a spiritual, like learning to speak in tongues and spiritual deliverance. He was teaching on that, and so after the service, I came home and I was doing the wash, and I was watching Christian TV like I normally do, and I just heard a voice saying, "Go into the closet." There was a closet underneath our steps. So I opened the door and it's dark, and I felt a presence in the closet. And as I was reaching for the light to turn it on, I said, "Jesus, protect me as I go in here," because I felt a strong demonic presence. And when as I was turning the light on, I heard a zzz go right by my ear. And I looked down when the light was on, and that bag that was in our bedroom was in that closet. So I immediately laid hands on it, casted out demons, and then I went back to doing the wash, folding the clothes, and I heard, "Look under the desk." We had a desk in the parlor, in our eating area where I was folding the clothes on the dining room table. And I was like, "What do you mean, look under the desk?" I heard it again, "Look under the desk." And there was another one of her bags. This was the girl's bags. These were her clothes, and another bag was under there. And he led me to speak over that bag and look through it and just cleanse the house. And then, like 3 or 4 days later, she left. I guess because the demons were cast out, she went to follow them. So, yeah, that was, and that's why I say you have to use discernment, because not all temptations are from demons. Some of them are from the lust of your own flesh, and I think that's why pornography is so prevalent in this realm, because it leads to other things, and it's the perversion that they're looking for, they're hungering and thirsting for. you doing those sexual acts, you watching that. They get satisfaction out of you breaking the commandments of God. You know what I mean? They get satisfaction when you're not walking in the way of Yeshua and the way he taught us how to live. You know?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think it is a disservice as well to attribute everything, all your bad decisions, to the evil one, right? I completely agree with you. We have our own problems, and I think we often, right, I don't necessarily think that if, let's say, you use pornography as an example, that if you're in that and you're continually doing that, and no stones being cast, no judgment being cast, but if you're continually doing that, I don't think there's demons there sitting there getting you to do it. That's just you doing it. I think when they show up, and I'm mainly talking to believers as an adversary, is when they want to do good. As I said before, where Paul said, for I find this law at work, when I want to do good, evil is right there with me. So if people are comfy in their prison of sin and lust, I don't think demons are showing up to get them to do that. They're already gung-ho about it anyways.
Our hearts are already deceitfully wicked. So
yeah, I think when they really show up is when we want to get those destructive behaviors out of our lives.
Right.
And I think that's where the disservice comes, because again, when people are coming out of these ideas, when they're coming out of these parts of their lives and they're trying to seek an answer for it, not getting that whole story where it's like, hey, you are against unclean spirits as well, just realize that, but that doesn't give you a right to blame and just say the devil made me do it. And so there is that line there, and I think we have to walk that in proportion for us to really be where we should be in our walk, personally.
Yeah, I think that a big part of like, there is, of course, like demon oppression. Demon possession isn't really like, the main thing that's going on. But if you were to do, not trying to like peg my channel or anything, it's been a while since I put up a video, but I do have a lot of content from basically the Unclean World channel. I put all the videos on the Subject Offensive, and basically it's just focused on news reports of like visceral violence that is not human at all, in terms of what they're doing to each other, like mothers putting their babies in microwaves and just like terrible stuff, and saying that their babies are possessed or whatever it is. So that happens. There are possessions, yes, but a lot of it is infiltration, and it shows up, honestly, I believe it's mental illness. Like, it's a massive part of the demon infiltration. It's the depression, the anxiety, and stuff like that. I don't think those are demonic at all. I honestly think depression, anxiety, all that stuff is actually good for you, because it basically is a sign, yes, that something needs to be healed within you. But then outside of that, you have things which I actually believe in the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, it goes into the details there, those spirits. And the spirits are actually, lust is in there, fornication, envy, jealousy, deceit, vainglory, anger. Those are the spirits that are coming in. They literally say it in the Testament of 12 Patriarchs. They're spirits of this. Yeah. So that's that's how we essentially, it's nuts.
Why I said pornography, because I just watched a video on seed retention. And if you do not retain your seed, it can lead to brain damage. And constant watching of pornography, constant releasing your seed can destroy brain cells. Now you become super vulnerable to spiritual attack. And I think that lust is the first way in. Now, when you start to want to get away from that, they're around you. They're all around you because you're doing these lustful, wicked things, and of course you're going to get opposition when you start to come out of that, and because they want control, and I really think that pornography and lust are their way in. And that's why it's so prevalent right now in this realm, because I think Satan knows his time is short and it's almost over. And
I think that
he's
the
ramping
pornography.
things up. Huh?
I think the pornography and everything, that is obviously a big factor for sure for them to come in. But honestly, also, I just watched a documentary yesterday about this, the normal of overdosing. Basically, it's just these military veterans that had to go in because of basically trauma from seeing their loved ones, or especially their soldiers dying or whatever, and they come into the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is like, yeah, so basically 8 minutes, they go in, they're like, yeah, so I'm suffering from, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I'm just constantly replaying over and over in my head about like the shit that I'm sorry, the crap that happened to my friend or whatever. And the psychiatrist reacts by giving them whatever, benzodiazepine or Prozac or whatever, Xanax. And that person then actually reports over a period of time, usually like after 4 months, hallucinations and talking about suicide when that person before never even thought about that.
Yeah.
So the whole pharmaceutical industry, they're pushing drugs that are letting demons in, just like the V. I guarantee that. Yeah.
So real
So it's
quick,
not just porn.
yeah. So
Yeah.
real quick, you were talking about how they basically kind of changed it up, and now we're just talking about mental illness. We're not talking about unclean spirits anymore. For those that don't know, I am a bear, which is I love Owen Benjamin. He's a great comedian. And he has a great podcast, so definitely check it out. He's free on Rumble. But he did this I'm getting feedback from someone. He did this episode with a guy named Jerry Marzinski. Now, Jerry Marzinski worked within the prison industry for most of part of his life as a clinical psychologist, I believe. I may have that part wrong. But specifically, he worked with those with the so-called schizophrenia. And what's interesting about Jerry Marzinski, and again, check out this episode, Owen Benjamin's. It's a great episode. He basically does something he's not supposed to by asking each of these individuals that he came into contact with what they were hearing, what the voices were telling him. And as he did this, and he had to do this in secret because he would have been kicked out, his license revoked if he would have continued in this doing this openly. And so what he then realized is that there were these overlapping patterns, these signifiers that showed that this wasn't just an individual internal issue that was going on, not a chemical imbalance, but something far above that, something outside of the body that was talking to these people. And I won't ruin too much about it, but definitely go check it out. But he basically shows how schizophrenics are not quote unquote schizophrenics. They're not just hearing voices. They're actually part possession, whatever you want to call it. They have a demonic influence in their life, if not oppression, possible possession. And he gives some really crazy, interesting stories in this episode. But yeah, I just want to kind of bring that up. And this leads me real quick. I want to show a couple clips. If y'all haven't seen Nefarious, I suggest it. It's not like
good.
this super action oriented film. It's mostly two guys talking for the most of the film, so it's not super engaging that way. But the dialogue is great, and I think some real nuggets, some pieces of truth come out in this video, and it's kind of interesting when you think this video came out right along the side of the sound of freedom, and how this kind of masked this movie. And this movie, I feel like, really talks to the heart of the situation more than sounds of freedom. So we're gonna watch a couple clips of this real quick, and then we're gonna talk about it. More than likely, these will probably be clipped out in the edited video after it goes live because I'm gonna get copyright. But I still want to share this with you. Let's go ahead and watch a couple of these clips. Make this big for y'all. Give it a second.
Bader, could you post that Jerry Markinski link? Because I've watched this stuff before, but not Owen Benjamin's interview. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, let me grab that real quick.
Thanks, bro.
I'll post this in both chats. Let me copy this too. 1 second, people. So there's a reference on what we're talking about here. Oh, what happened? Okay, it did work.
Do you think I'm evil, James?
Oh, it's playing without me. All right, I need everyone to drop off their camera real quick, or this is going to have difficulties playing. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this big screen. Did I click it or no? Okay, there we go. Okay, hopefully you see it's buffered. Let's see how it does.
Evil isn't a clinical diagnosis. Good and evil are societal constructs, effectively subjective value statements.
Do you think my victims thought I was evil?
Why is it so important that I think you're evil?
Legionum mihi nomen est, quia multi sumus.
Sorry, my Latin's a little rusty.
My name is Legion, for we are many. See, James, it's not just about you or Edward, for that matter. It's about everyone. The entire human race. All of us against all of you.
Well, you know, if that's the case, your side's not doing too well.
Do you really believe that, James?
Yeah. We've never been freer. Literacy is at an all-time high. We're working to eliminate racism, intolerance, gender inequality. People can love who they want, be who they want, do what they want. Diversity is no longer a dream. Hate speech is no longer tolerated. And politically, we're reclaiming the moral high ground.
James, I think I love you. Literacy, James. James, the average high school graduate reads at a 6th grade level. Players making $30 million a year decrying racism, all while wearing sneakers made from slave labor. Now, here's something for you.
Vader.
Right now,
It was playing on
here's something
YouTube.
for you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. It was,
Right now, your world
it is.
currently has 40 million slaves.
No,
One
it
Roman
wasn't,
at the height of their
and now
empire. You want to know
now
the
it's
best part,
buffering.
though?
But it wasn't.
Half of those, half, are sex slaves, James. As for hate speech, well,
It is.
you want to hear some irony? We didn't even come up with that one.
Ever
did
since
it
you
all
said
by
so.
yourself.
Let me see.
Sometimes you amaze even us.
I fail to see the humor.
Bottom line is you're done. It's over, that's it. And we did it all right to your face, James. And now there's evil everywhere. And no one even cares.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Proving that we achieved our goal. Slowly, with your movies, your TV, and your media. We desensitized you. Redirected your worldview to the point that you can't even recognize evil when it's right in front of your face. More to the point, James, you can't even feel it when you're doing it. And as for winners and losers, well. That gets decided at the time of death. The exact numbers are a closely guarded secret, but there are more of you ending up in my master's house than with the enemy. A lot more, Jimmy. Do you believe in demonic possession? The idea of a malevolent entity controlling a person's thoughts and actions, do you believe that?
No.
Whether you won't believe anything I'm about to tell you.
It's not important what I believe. What's important right now is what you believe.
Demons don't have beliefs, James. We have knowledge. We know.
Okay, when did you possess Edward?
It doesn't work that way. Can't just possess someone. We need a series of yeses.
So you're saying it's a
Of course,
process?
it's a process.
How does it work?
It's complicated.
Try me. I'm smarter than you think.
You're smarter than I think. Okay, James. We offer up a series of temptations, gradually increasing in terms of duration and intensity, degree of moral inequity. Absence of baptism in this case allowed us to begin work long before the age of reason. At 3, age of 5, maybe a theft of a toy car can do a great deal. Then we move on to bigger and better things. At 8, grandmother's gift of a Ouija board gave us immediate access to his decision-making, so we began steering them without him ever calling into question exactly who was doing the steering. Enough yeses and few enough nos gave us increasing rights over the victims, physical and mental processes. Did that track, James?
It seems random, almost, unfocused.
Well, that's what we want you to think. We have a level of focus beyond your comprehension. As a matter of fact, everybody around him, friends, family, they didn't even notice the changes. It happened so incrementally. They just thought it was Eddie being Eddie. We knew exactly what we were doing, when, where, and how he was giving consent, and the exact moment that we achieved each new degree of control.
Degree?
Control host body comes in degrees. They're stages, each with its own name and characteristics.
And those are?
From top to bottom, extreme temptation, obsession, infestation, finally possession, subjugation.
And Edward Wayne Brady
Fully
is-
subjugated. That's why we're having this conversation. Yes, we own him.
We?
All those who dwell below. My master's very generous with the toys he gives his children to play with. Subjugation with an S.
How crystal clear was that? If y'all haven't seen that movie, that's one of the most powerful parts to me, is when he just literally breaks it down. He's like, oh no, we don't just possess them. We can't just possess them. It's intermediate little temptations, little with varying degrees of intensity and duration.
Yeses and nos.
Yeah, of yeses
All
and nos.
nefarious.
Right,
Yeah.
all within that ever-changing subjective morality, right? And so it's like, how true is that in our lives that we give those yeses, you know, when we find these law, you know, like we were kind of talking about, I find this law at work for when I want to do good, evil is right there with me. That's, you know, that's when we've made we've told them no when they wanted to hear yes, and we told them yes when they wanted to hear no. And so, but I guess knowing that, I think, is really important. What are y'all's thoughts about those that movie or those clips I just shared?
Real quick, what movie is that?
Nefarious.
Nefarious?
No, just nefarious.
Nefarious. Yeah.
Oh, Nefarious. All right.
Yeah, actually, I watched it when it first came out. And it was we went to a private screening just because there was no other like theaters that are running it. Really small, tiny theater, and actually there was maybe 4 or 5 people there, and every one of them was Christian, and we all got together and had chats after the movie. It was awesome. But anyway, yeah, the movie's great. It does have a Roman Catholic leaning though, so there's obviously a theology in there that's not accurate, and of course they're not going to get into the specifics of the agendas that are really in depth. You know, the agendas.
One thing I will
September 11th, for example.
It does have like a Catholic leaning to it, because he even said, you know, no baptism on the youth. We can do, you know, like you saw that, and it's definitely there. But
or when the father comes into the scene and he's like, oh my god, oh, not a priest.
That's the exact part I was going to talk about, is literally at the beginning the demon is scared of him, but then as the priest keeps talking,
I love that.
Yeah. Let's actually play.
He's
that
logic. He's all logic. It doesn't have the yeah. It's great.
Let's watch this. We'll go off video again. Sorry. I think this is a great part to play, because this is really what we're dealing with in modern Christianity. When it
Proclaiming
comes to
their
demons.
ideas on how they feel the universe operates. Never once contemplating the possibility that they could be wrong.
Okay, I'm gonna let it buffer a little bit, but yeah, so basically, what's going on in this part? It's another scene from the movie. They're still talking together, but without revealing too much, the death rites, the chaplain is there to basically pray over him because he's on death row. And I'm gonna skip a little ahead where he actually comes in the room, so we're not sitting here all day. And let's start it right here. So this is the Catholic priest coming in. He's talking to the psychologist. And we'll just let this part play.
Dr. James Martin, have you met with him before?
No. I've tried. He's always refused spiritual counseling.
What do you want with me, son of God? Come here to torture me before the appointed time?
He claims he's a demon.
Carpenter sends you to gloat. Unfortunately for you, I'm not one that can be cast out so easily, though, am I?
Sanity always has been an issue here, hasn't it? Sadly, movies and TV have filled our heads with images that are largely metaphorical, not meant to be taken literally. I'm not here to hurt you, Edward. I'm here to help you, to put you at your ease, to make sure you're comfortable. Personally, I've never met a demon. I've never been part of an exorcism, nor do I expect to be. Many of the things that bother us are just our own fears and disordered thoughts.
You don't consider demonic possession to be a possibility.
Our understanding has evolved beyond that.
Well, I appreciate you telling me that. I feel much better. And Lou, I was wrong about you. I should have had you come and visit sooner. But I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that we're all getting along.
Would you like me to stay?
No, we're done.
Well, if you need me, I'll be available.
You'll be available, Lou?
Right up until the time you are...
Right up until what, Lou? Right up until the sizzle?
God bless you, son.
Will you be available until the sizzle? Lou! When, Lou? When, Lou?
So yeah, like as you see in that part. Oh, let me get rid of this. So as you saw in that, part, the priest comes in. He's all scared and trying to get away from the priest. And then in this priest, he's like, oh, we got a demon possession. He's like, oh, that's all metaphorical. He's like, wait, you don't
Real quick,
demon...
I think the stream is...
You're suspended.
Yeah.
Oh, your video stream is unavailable. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Policy
So
violation.
they can't hear you right now. It'll come back, but they can't hear you right now.
Okay, let's wait.
I just want to let you know. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, boy. Played too much. Played way too much.
I played 4 minutes out of a 2-hour stream. How dare I?
We will be pressured.
That leads me into this segue. I think we're in Satan's short season. Now, I'm taking this off the air. I really believe we're in Satan's short season. I know you disagree, Marcia, but this realm is completely controlled by Satan, and his demons are loose. And I think Tartaria, all that, shouldn't be called Tartaria. I think it should be called Millennial Maps.
Well, I don't.
All
I
those
don't.
buildings are things that we could never create, and I think they were created by the glorified Christians that rose in the first resurrection.
All right, apologize everyone. We are back. We're getting grabblered from the grabbler tube. So as you saw, they did not like us sharing those 4 minutes out of a 2-hour stream because the it's just too good. It's too good to show people. And I don't know exactly where it cut it off, but hopefully y'all enjoyed the part you did see. Go definitely check them out. Go check out that movie. There's a lot of gravy. And as Curtis said, keep in mind it is from a Catholic perspective, but I still think all the information that you can glean from those conversations.
Can't hear you, Vader.
Who can't?
I mean, I can hear you on Discord, but not on the YouTube.
They can hear me.
Wait, maybe they can. Huh?
Yeah, I can hear you on the live on the stream.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that was. No worries.
But anyway, yeah. So when it came to the priest, like even before he started talking, he started telegraphing immediately just because of what he was wearing. He had the cardigan on, so it was like a really cozy, relaxed. If he was a real priest, he'd be coming in there with the garb, right? But he had and then the colorful scarf. So it's cool. I love the yeah, that was really cool. Nice touch.
Is that supposed to be a Christian movie?
It is a Christian movie, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right.
Well, Roman Catholic. Yeah, that's the backing of it.
Yeah, but there's still many good things about it, and I definitely highly suggest the movie. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
So I think that explanation of that incremental change is so important, right? Because we all at least can feel that in our lives, right? It's not like we those who were raised in the church, just as an example, decide to stop going to Sunday school, and then the very next day they're on the corner, slinging tricks and rock, right? It doesn't happen that. It's a slow incremental change. It's a slow getting you to do these, morally deprived, escalatingly morally deprived, decisions, and then you doubling down on that. And this is kind of off in the right field, but it is connected. I take this same type of struggle the same way that I take the struggle with a lot of doctrinal issues within Christianity, as well as the heliogeocentric debate. Is often people have tied in so much of their ego, their knowledge, their personality into this information that they tie it so deep into themselves that by cutting away the thought, the prospect of cutting away these parts of these of themselves that are so intrinsically tied to themselves is impossible. It's a daunting task, and that's why I think it's important that we talk about it now for those struggling with it now, or who's watched later, or they can share this information in this video and the ones that we shared with others, because it's a really important piece of information. They say intelligence in war is crucial, right? To know where your enemies are, what weapons they have, their capabilities. Well, it's the same thing with the spiritual warfare. We need to know what they're doing and what they can do and how they can affect our lives to better defend against those attacks.
Well, the main thing I got out of it was how he said it starts with a little. For me, it started with lust. And then the lust grew into drug addiction. And then the drug addiction went on for almost 10 years. And I didn't, the only way out of the drug addiction was salvation, was receiving Yeshua. And when I got out of that, then I was, I made some bad decisions. I married the wrong person. But, God kept me through that whole thing, and I have my children because of it. But, yeah, I think what I got out of that was the little bit at a time. It's the first thing, and then it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing. And before you know it, you're in full bondage, fully acclimated to Satan's world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Subjugated, yeah.
That's a big part of it, but I also got to say that, they're like we were talking about earlier with the whole demons and the devil not being in control of everything that we go through and the trauma that happens through that and all the events that we're experiencing, just negative experiences. Sometimes trauma happens to us, like maybe we have an abusive parent or a neglectful parent as a kid, and we grow up with, unfortunately, that trauma affecting the rest of our lives. And it's easy for us to just be like, instead of addressing that and then talking about it and doing the hard work of going through therapy and all that, it's like, oh no, it's a demon. And all I got to do is just pray and then read the Bible. Those are amazing things, 100%. But it's not the be all end all just to take a pill. It's kind of the same concept of, oh no, just take a pill and then that will heal the thing. It's like, no, you got to delve into that. But of course, there's levels to this, and then the higher levels of the negative things that happen to us are certainly demonic for sure. So yeah, it's good to know that piece as well, and never to forget it.
And I'll say, even to your example, is you don't know if your parent, the neglectful, the abuseful one, wasn't demonically oppressed into making those decisions in the first place. Now they affected you, but yeah, I think it is a very easy kind of road to go down to just to blame everything on the devil, just to blame everything on the demons. Like you do, you say a bad word, and you're like, oh, sorry, that wasn't me saying it. It was the demon that was whispering in my ear. Right. And so it's like, yeah, it's easy to do that. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where there is that line where we know there's spiritual warfare. We know these demons are seeking whom they can destroy and who they can devour. So we know that exists, but we have to walk that line so we're not drifting over into using it as a victim, right? People want to use the demons to say are we just sheep to be slaughtered? No, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For, God is convinced that nothing in creation is going to be able to separate us from God through the love of Christ. And so that's such an important point, to not let it be your crutch, right? It's, I would do so much better if these demons weren't always attacking me. Well, let's not look at the symptoms, your lust, your sin. Let's look at what's causing them. What can you do to close those doors in your life, to seal shut those entrances that shouldn't be there, to cause these occurrences or to help from these occurrences happening again? I know me personally, I used to watch darker movies, horror movies as an example. When I would do that, I would have nightmarish dreams. Now, people can just infer and say, oh, well, you were just, your subconscious was chemically reacting to the cortisol and the fear response that you got from what, and that's why you were opening doors in your mind, in your heart, to these forces. And it's important to see that they're there and to manage them at the very least, right? To manage those entrances. Go ahead, Frankie.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, when you focus on negative things, you change your energy. Now your energy becomes negative. Now you become vulnerable to people with demons for them to act out and attack you. Not saying it's always, but watching those type of movies, listening to rock and roll music, it changes your vibration. Now you're operating at a negative frequency. Now you're making bad decisions because you're operating at a negative vibration. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, and you're opening yourself up for more. It's like negativity
Sure.
attracts negativity.
Exactly.
And the negativity that you feel is gonna then manifest more negativity in your life. And yeah, you can totally cause your own hell, just with decisions. And that's totally true and not to be neglected. I just think that the important part is to understand what these are, what they're doing, what their desires are, and see, like, isn't it so interesting? You were bringing up, Curtis, we were talking about the Testament of 12 Patriarchs, and specifically Reuben talking about his problem with lust and all the spirits that are attached to those desires and how that manifests, right? If you go back and watch it if you'd like on our channel. But if you read the Testament of 12 Patriarchs, he literally says it all started when I saw her bathing on the roof, and that when I saw that, then internally he started thinking about it and desiring it and conceptualizing it until, however it happened, whatever forces behind it, an opportunity was laid at his feet to accept this offer. And he accepted that offer because he had already accepted that offer way back in his heart, and he was manifesting it to eventually happen. And now whether he was he was using unclean spirits to help manifest that is up for debate. But
is that David you're talking about, or Reuben?
Reuben.
Well, David went through the same thing with Bathsheba.
Yeah,
I'm sure he did.
Yeah, David went through the same thing, and he ended up killing her husband, and he ended up sinning before God. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think lust is the real thing. I think that's the thing that brings them in.
Yeah, so
that's the start.
I wrote a post there. Actually, I just read through the Testament of 12 Patriarchs a second time, and this time it was more study instead of actually just reading it. And I came across just this part in where was it now? Simeon chapter 4, Testament of Simeon chapter 4, verse 8 through 9.
If you want to show it down at down at your bottom, there'll be like a little monitor with a little arrow.
Yep.
You click that, then you can click the screen, and then I can pull it up for everyone.
Perfect. All right, let's do it. Capture screens, applications. I only see. Oh, okay. There's no visual. It's just the black screen I can see, but the name comes up. All right, go live. I should do it. Yeah, it's just black for some reason.
Oh, weird. You may be doing screen or application instead of screen.
Okay, let's see.
Click on
screens.
Yeah.
Okay. 2. Let me see. Go live 2. Nope. Not getting anything.
Discord. Okay, never mind. Just go ahead and read it.
But yeah, no worries. Yeah, so basically it was a post. So is the spirit of envy a demon? Connecting the dots between mental illness and spiritual warfare. Shalom fam, can you help me with confirming a word? This was actually from posted on Kingdom Crew. Confirming a word study of the Testament of Simeon, chapter 4, verse 8 through 9, the evil of envy. I felt called by the Ruach to do a word study on these verses, and from what I found, it seems like demons get initial access to our soul, mind, will, and emotions through our free will choice to follow Yah's law or not. If we choose to break his will, we are left vulnerable to demonic oppression, which leads to demons tempt man by corrupting his mind, will, and emotions, leading him to attack emotionally or physically another human being, leading to the cycle repeating. Demons corrupt the minds of men, as a result pushing them to break the laws of Yah. So mental illness is part of the result of demons attacking men, which corrupt their emotions. And if that's correct, that would mean that mental illness is not in it of itself demons. Therefore, praying or reading scripture to exorcise or deliver the person from the control of demons would not work. And instead, the soul, mind, will, and emotions can be healed through the clarity, the awareness, through identification of what was the initial behavior and free will offense carried out by the human, along with every other free will offense after that from the subsequent breaking of the law. Dysfunctional behavior, along with the effects, almost done, along with the effects from the causes dysfunctional behavior of a corrupted soul, which can then, once identified, be healed through love, the Spirit of God, forgiveness, patience, compassion. Hope that makes sense. Trying to wrap my mind around all this stuff. And then I have a picture, actually, of the Testament 12 Patriarchs. It says, do ye also, my children, love each one his brother with a good heart, and the spirit of envy will withdraw from you. I think that was just really crazy. You don't see that in any other scripture, especially the 66 canon. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, that was what I wanted to show.
No, that's totally true. And I think the mental illness is a good example. Like, is all mental illness demons? No. Is there mental illness that is caused from demons? Yes. But then we don't just attribute it. And I think the medicine is such a good metaphor, because often people are like, oh, just pray for their mental illness to go away, and then it will, you know. And often they're not seeing what's leading up to these issues, right? It really makes me think about Job, and how the evil one had to go to God and be like, or God, you know, is like, hey, look at Job, look how faithful and righteous he is, right? And it's like, oh, only because you protect him, right? Well, let's do some deductive reasoning. Why is God protecting Job? Why can't the evil one penetrate the hedgerow? Why can't he go and do anything that he wants? Well, because Job is proactive in his salvation. He is proactive in this spiritual war, where he realizes the best way for protection is to be obedient to the Father. Because a lot of people, and I understand it, but it also baffles my mind, think that the law is this set of rules and boundaries of just one person who wants to control others, just give them these random rules so that they can be the leader. You know, they can be the alpha. But when actuality it is God loves us so much, the Father adores us so much, that he wants us to be blessed and lead a good, righteous life while we're here on earth. And his commandments, his laws, are actually just a guidebook into getting his blessings and his protection. And I think that's why I think there's a connection here between the modern Christianity that just pray for this the gay away, pray the mental illness away, and God will make it go away. And it's like, no, y'all aren't looking at the root of the problem. Y'all are staring at the very tip top of the leaf and basing what the roots are from that. And it's quite insane, right? Because the people who don't, in this modern church, right, in this modern church era, the people are not being equipped to deal with these unclean spirits, while at the same time having people shy away from the commandments that would protect them from the unclean spirits. That's why, to me, there is on the micro level, right? Have y'all ever seen Eagle Eye? The movie Eagle Eye with Shia LaBeouf? So just real quick, in the movie, it's about this AI that, can hack computers and stuff. But one thing about it is it gets seemingly random people to do just a couple, like, just go to this person's house, take their clarinet, take it to this guy's house. That's all they're doing. If they just take this clarinet and take it to this guy's house, their secrets won't be exposed. So they go and do this one act, and this other person does this one act, and it accumulates in this huge plan coming together for a very nefarious purpose. And that's what I'm kind of trying to point out, is that these little things seem random. They seem like Nefarious was saying, right? It seems like it's unfocused. No, you don't understand the amount of focus they have, the time that they have had to not only obtain this focus, but to put it into use, and how effectively they can affect the world seemingly out of nothing while no one sees it right there in their face. So yeah, again, I think it's really important that we pay attention to what we can do, what we can personally do to get these spirits out of our lives.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I would disagree with like one thing you said, and you might have. I'm gonna misread you on that one, but you mentioned that the father would be able to protect us from the unclean spirits. Is that right? Is that what you said?
Well, they're.
Just want to make sure I clarify.
Well, I guess okay. What I mean by protect us from unclean spirits is not necessarily like, oh, well, let's look at Job. Was Job, well, okay, Job may have been besieged by unclean spirits, but because he was obedient to the Father, they gained no foothold. So that's what I kind of mean by being obedient to the Father. It's almost like you're protecting yourself, right? Like he's like, hey, this is how you don't drown. Just listen to these steps and you won't drown. So yeah, by listening to his steps on not drowning, you're not going to drown. By listening to his steps on being blessed, you're going to be protected, but not in that direct sense, if that's what you were
Yeah, that brings up a good point, because Job's family, his children were partying, they were having festivals, drunk, they were getting drunk, they were breaking the commandments, but he was making sacrifices for them to protect them. Mm-hmm. And that brings up a good point. Now Satan had to go to the Father to get permission to attack Job, because Job was covering his whole household. Even though there was a doorway in through his children, Job was doing extra to cover his whole household. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, that's in the Septuagint version of Job, isn't it? I don't think that's actually in the 66 version of Job. But yeah, so when you mentioned, because like about the fact that demons that you can be basically protected by the demons, I was just bringing up Jubilees, just thinking about that of like, man, it's amazing what Jubilees talks about when Noah basically gets off the ark and his sons and everything. He's told to go spread across the earth, and basically before that happens, essentially the demons are tormenting the children of men, and Noah then prays to the Father, like, please, Father, like, let just get me rid of these demons for my family's sake and all this. And then he basically that's the moment where you find out, oh my God, Azazel has been given, because he actually says, he's like, can I have a portion of these to basically test mankind? And exactly. And so he allows them to do that, locks up most of them, I think, in the abyss, I believe. And then the rest of them are allowed to tempt mankind. And it makes perfect sense that, like, the fact that we're created, that we were supposed to obviously live in paradise initially, and there wasn't supposed to be any fall. Obviously that was the plan, but when it happened, I think that it's so profound, honestly, life, the way that it works, that we have to actually go through the process of this just like, not suffering, he doesn't want us to suffer, obviously, but the struggle of it, because that's what really causes that change and the understanding when we actually experience it for ourselves. So it's a double sword. The demons, obviously, they do terrible things, but at the same time, they do test us in ways that help us grow closer to the Father. So
totally. And something interesting about that, right, is that with the demons here, like let's look at it from a New Age perspective. I could never understand. Let me sidestep for a second. I could never understand, coming to the truth of the earth, at least what it's not, and the mix of astrology. It never made sense to me. What you think these balls of gas and dust, are somehow affecting the way we're born, or somehow affecting what's going to happen that month or that day? Like, how does that make any logical sense, right? But now stepping back and realizing, oh wait, the sun, the moon, the stars, these are beings, these are creations that exist, not just some physical balls of gas and dust, as in that example. And so I bring that up because in the same way, I think we very with demons, with spirits, with those things, it's so obfuscated. It's so, and I think that priest kind of did say something cool in that Nefarious clip where he's like, oh, all of this stuff is exaggerated in the movies. And it totally is, right? Because in possessions of movies, you know, you know, all this craziness. Now, I'm not saying that never exists and never happens, but it's always straight to that, right? You never see the buildup. What's the movie Poltergeist, right? You never see the buildup of that girl getting closer and closer to the demons. It literally starts with her being able to spin her neck around her entire body, right? So around her entire neck. So it just goes from 0 to 100. So yeah, and also, as we pointed out before, all of the like end of days, stigmata, you know, all these bless the child, all of these end times, you know, Christian based movies are all from a Catholic lens. They're never from not that a Protestant lens is that much better, but it's never from other lenses, right? It's always this one lens. And so yeah, the whole ideas of in society, the whole idea of demons has kind of been, the waters have been so muddied that with, okay, now jumping back to what I was saying with the New Age, right? These spirits, it's so interesting to me. They think they're spirits from different dimensions. They think that they're, you know, their ancestors. They think there's all of these thoughts on what these things are. And so they're not denying that they exist, what I just think is interesting, because most time you talk to New Agers, 90% of the time there are geocentric model believers. They believe in the globe. They believe in all of the math and all that jazz. But then they somehow believe in these, you know, the supernatural part that they kind of, I don't know how they do that. They like,
yeah, actually
these two things.
Well, for me personally, like within the New Age, like it wasn't the New Age for me. It was just spirituality, and spirituality meets. And I'm just talking from my mindset at the time. Totally. Spirituality meets science. So when you have the worldview of heliocentrism, of a constantly expanding universe, when you go outside the realm of Earth, that's where you get into spirituality. So like distant planets, and then of course when you bring in multidimensional reality, that's where you actually have other star systems outside of our realm, and then basically they come to Earth. And so that's where the whole idea of like, it's a logical follow through that the whole idea of if we were to evolve, you know, past our sense of being human, that we form into higher consciousness, which would be essentially we would, you know, evolve in terms of even just civilization, not in terms of maybe like the biology of a body, but the fact of technology. If you think about where technology is going to be in the next like 100, 200, 300 years, like, and if you believed in the heliocentric model, then it would make perfect sense that obviously we're going to be able to start to harness the power of our sun, then to, you know, wormholes, and then be able to actually travel through space and time. And oh my God, it makes perfect sense that aliens are the future versions of us. And that's exactly what they teach in the New Age. Yeah, it has a perfect follow through.
Yeah, eventually, like right now, we're 3D beings, but one day we'll be fourth dimensional beings.
Exactly.
And that and that goes, and that's what I was saying with paganism, because that's all it's ever been. It's all about that self progression into godhoodom. Right.
Yeah, same script.
And it's the same script. It's just new branding, right? It's no longer the gods of the old. Now it's the aliens of the new.
Yeah,
and they just
that's right.
seamlessly switch it over, and a lot of people are none the wiser. They think it's completely different and new, and this is all, you know, developing cutting edge, you know, theology and doctrine.
And what's really destructive about it is when you bring psychedelics into the equation, and that's where my story came in with the whole understanding of demons. Like for me, when I did DMT for the first time, I had an experience where essentially I was talking one-on-one with these beings in another dimension when I closed my eyes, and it felt more real than real life itself. And time just basically fizzled out. So when you have that type of experience, there's nothing that is gonna, sway you out of that being true reality. And so that's where you get, it's not only just the conceptualization of the ideologies that you're, getting from social media and videos and things, but you're actually getting a physical experience with those trips. And that's where, oh man, you can get into so many wormholes. It's not good.
Yeah, it's seductive. It's kind of like the difference from reading a book and watching a movie, right? Like, and what I mean by that is, like, when you're conceptualizing these things, right, your mind can go here and here and here. But and that's kind of back to my point with the evolution and the geocentric model. Like, even that to me, wait, you think that this chemical, like, somehow, like, evolved along with human beings to where the point where humans can, if they ingested it, it transports them to a different dimension where these people from the future, these aliens from a different dimension, whatever the story is, exists. And I always, I actually, speaking about that friend, the coworker of mine, he had a very similar experience. He grew up LDS. He rejected it. He went out into the world. He started using hallucinogenics. That actually brought him back to God, because he's like, wait, there is a spiritual realm. This is real things. These are real events. This is a real realm. I can't excuse this anymore as just being chemicals in my brain. I know I'm experiencing reality in these other dimensions. It's so interesting to me. All right, let's see here. We got 6 minutes left, so let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. In 15 minutes, we will be having the after show. So if you're interested in joining us, the Uncensored Conversation, look in the link description for the Discord. Join us there, create an account, and join the conversation. I really enjoyed y'all all here. Hopefully those that are watching this now and chat, hello everyone. Hopefully it was a good episode for y'all. Yeah, so let's go ahead and wrap up. We'll say our goodbyes, and we'll call it a stream. Just a quick reminder, if anyone is interested, Testament of 12 Patriarchs tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. It's just, I'm going to read the whole thing. We'll do a little discussion. I'll do a little discussion at the end. If you'd like to join and give your sense of the discussion, feel free to do so. But yeah, all right. So let's wrap it up, and we'll get to it. So we'll go with you, Marcia, if you'd like to say your goodbye, sister.
Goodbye, everyone. This was another great show, and love being here.
Indeed, we love having you. Jump over to you, Robert.
Ooh, that hair. Dun, 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 dun.
Wait till next week.
Y'all have a great night.
Oh, he's really low to me.
Yeah.
Seems what, loud or low?
Low.
Oh, sorry.
Boy, you're low, Robert.
Go ahead. I turned you up.
Okay, anyhow, y'all have a good night. See you next time.
Enjoyed ya. Jump over to you, Curtis. Welcome. Thanks for being here again, brother. Again, bro, join us anytime. I love having your voice and your thoughts to share. So, anyways,
appreciate it, guys. Yeah, really great being back again. I definitely will be doing this a lot more often. You guys can check me out at Subjectively Offensive if you want to see some truther content from a different lens. I cover some different topics, but I'm not really doing that right now. That's on the back burner right now. It's my main focus. It's called Awakened from Dysfunction. It's basically emotional health coaching, and that's kind of why I was going down the realm of like mental illness and stuff like that in this video, because that's my main focus now. So if you want to check me out there, and if you want to go the extra mile and book a free session with me, just to basically talk about your life and where things are going right now, and if there's some things that you'd like to get off your chest, an open space that's non-judgmental, it's a great thing to have a mirror to kind of look at yourself in ways that you might not see. So you can check me out. All right, and I got my website as Awaken from Dysfunction as well. So see you guys probably on the next one for sure.
Sweet, awesome. Well, good to see you, brother, as always. We'll jump over to you, Kyle. Good to see you as always, man. Say your goodbye.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah, good to see you guys as well. It's always a blessing to be on here. I'm glad we could cover this topic from so many different angles over the season. It's obviously like an all-encompassing topic. It's tied into every one of the subjects that we discuss. So it's good to just kind of nail down certain aspects of it. And yeah, I think did a better justice to it than most of the mainstream churches I've ever been around did. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
With that said, I'd like to say see you guys. Curtis, it was awesome having you on, brother. Hope to see you again
Thanks,
soon.
bro. Yeah, absolutely. You too, bro.
Sweet. And last but not least, as always, we got our dear brother Frankie B. If you'd like to say your goodbye, sir.
Yeah. Always remember to dig deep, because the truth is out there. You shall find. If you seek, you shall find. And everything is not demonic attack. Use your discernment. God gave us discernment to know if it's us or if it is a demonically possessed person attacking us because of our light that we're shining. And always remember, keep your frequency pure. Keep your vibration high, and you'll make good decisions. So I just want to say Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you for next episode.
Awesome. And quick little update for me before we go. Tomorrow, I'm going to be posting the next 4-week schedule with the dates and times of all of it so that y'all can kind of know what's coming up ahead. The next 4 weeks is going to be pretty awesome. We're going to be getting into some pretty interesting topics, accumulating in one big topic. And I know it's a month away, but I'm so excited for that particular episode because as I was doing research into it, it led me down this random rabbit trail that I'm so excited to share with y'all, but y'all have to wait for that episode. So a little teaser for y'all. But all right, that being said, guys, love you all. Thank you for all your supports, the like, the share, the comment, the subscriptions. All of that does really help the channel grow. It helps us get a bigger box of puzzle pieces, and it allows more people to share their pieces with each other. And that's what we're all after. We're all seekers of the puzzle pieces of truth, and we do that with love and patience and kindness and the fruits of the Spirit. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this conversation. Again, if you want to join the aftershow, check the links description for the Discord, and I hope to see y'all there. But until next time, remember that ABBA loved you first, everyone. Shalom, everyone. Good night.
Shalom.
Kurt, are you sticking around for the after?
It's your glory, conceal the mystery. You give us the honor to search a matter out. You raise up a standard to beat back our enemy. You establish this realm, and like a scroll you spread it out. Dig deep, search it out. Dig deep, seek it out. Dig deep, go on and walk it out. Dig deep, I give you oil to fill up your cup. I give you enough to fill up your lamps. Yeah, you keep them trimmed, you keep them neat, you keep on worshiping and praising till you're at his feet. Oh, King Yeshua. Yeah, David. serve.